G'day traders, we're looking to wrap up of Monday the 18th of June. Daily chart here, we're looking at quite a significant area. Basically, we've got this support level which has, when we popped up and then pushed down, it's left a significant swing high area or the significant pivot point in the market. You imagine if this is a 1 minute chart and all of a sudden we started coming back up and putting pressure on it and it broke through, you're going to get some pressure of a bit of a continuation. A couple of times it tried to pop through, but a lot of that was in the pre-market. So today was the first time the cash market opened above that area. So for that reason, it was a particular day. Started off thinking that it's likely that we're going to get a one-directional day where the buyers just pretty much take control, and that's because of this reason that we're breaking that resistance, or I think I was calling it support, breaking this resistance. Once they do, they're just going to go on with it, and it's, occasionally you get days like that. Most days you get multiple directional moves, and we see that in the market, but sometimes it's quite unpredictable. You're going to get these one-directional days, and certainly start today thinking, be careful. Certainly look more on the buy side, and if I'd just really be a day that'd be very hesitant to take any sort of sell trade. And this is relevant in a few areas in the market. So let's go through it. Have a look at the buyers and the sellers on this 5 minute chart here. Basically, we pushed up. Very early on, the predictive average crossed down, crossed up, and I guess the 1 minute chart, I'll just pop over it for a second, shows it better. It's kind of like we popped down, we popped back up, putting pressure on this area where we started from. All the other marks are pushing through. So you can call it whatever you like. It's a bit of a breakout trade, but I thought, going in line with the dailies and a few things like that, it's definitely an area very early on that could potentially look to get on the buy side and take a couple of points. From there, we pushed a bit higher. We got a bit of a bobble around this area, a bit of the market coming back and then coming back to the upside. So the predictive had a cross down here, would have been a great looking 5 minute fade. Look to take that pullback down around here and then get a continuation because the buyers looking quite strong, like they were trying to push up. That never eventuated, but all through here, any sort of PowerPoint is looking good on the buy side. From there, we've topped out. We've started to come back. So it's even when this market was coming back the way it is, it's certainly it's a decent pullback, but certainly still a buyer's situation. If you watch other markets in this kind of case, all the other markets were sitting higher than the ES. That's meaning they're all trying to influence these markets up. And basically, even when this is starting to swing around, it was still a buyer's market because it's holding. There's a bit of support around this area. This is where the market pulled back from originally, so it's going to act as a bit of support, and the market never really pushed through. In fact, other markets held that area really well and pushed up quite quickly off it. Meant this is definitely a buyer's area, still holding. From there, we got the predictive crossing up. You can see a 5 minute buy came here. Just an unfortunate one that got stopped out, even though it got stopped out on a green candle. You can see the wick of the candle bounced to stop, and then basically it's pushed up from there. So definitely the area is right, and it's kind of a bit of an example of these 5 minute trades at the moment. They're, over long term they work quite well, and even at the moment when they're going through a bit of a string of hard times, they're still getting the areas right. It's just unfortunately the stop got hit before heading up. From there, this market stayed sideways. You can see the predictors crossed down and up again really quite quickly. So any sort of 5 minute buy at this candle here. So I just refresh the chart so those candle arrows come up. So there we go. So another 5 minute buy coming up here. You can see this area would have been stopped out, but not the best one to take. What's happening here is it's just basically the same area. The predictive average is crossing down and crossing up really quickly. So that says 50-50 area, sideways area. It might work, might not, but over a period of time, this sort of trade set up like that, the percentages aren't going to really work in your favour. A lot better off going for the first time it crosses up like this, or seeing it push higher then cross. Not quick consecutive crossovers of the predictive average like it did there. So we had this sideways period. Again we came up, put pressure on this high. Considering the type of day it is, it's a market that's likely to get through it and push through it. So we had a bit of a pullback. It's quite shallow, but and then it's got some momentum to push through. So basically we're making new higher highs now. So you can look at this as a bit of a new area, a fresh area. Once we've made those higher highs, it gives some more power and momentum to the upside, and the area is no longer a little bit stale like it might have been back here. It becomes a little bit more predictable as we get this pullback, and then look for some continuation trades on the upside again. But all through this area, again, like this area, you can see the moving averages starting to point down, and as the predictive crossed up here, it's towards the end of the day, so not really looking to take it. But technically, if the moving average is pointing down, you look to fade it. But this is certainly not a fade example, considering where we are on the daily charts. It's one directional day, and also the market hasn't really broken down through solid support levels yet. Okay, so the moving average is pointing a little bit sideways, but that's just because of this sideways price action, and it was more likely to push higher. What actually happened at the crossover, it did come back more than 5 ticks, and then eventually went higher. But you can see overall the area pushed higher again. So we got that one directional day, like we said, which is quite expected or quite predictable. Looking at the daily charts, and something to keep in mind. Like definitely most days prepared to go both ways and expect if there's a buyer's trend, the sellers to come in and vice versa. But these type of days, you might get these type of days once every 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Just be careful. They're most likely just to continue on with the same trend. Looking at the 1 minute chart, so you see we popped down, popped up. This sort of power fade to the upside has some value, and the main reason I would say is because the other markets, where if you look at this equivalent area, the other markets, put your cursor there and watch what it looks like on all the other markets. They're already breaking their highs and well and truly pushing through, and the Nasdaq was well and truly on its way. So potentially an area to really go from. You can see the power points bounce back here. So we've got 1, 2 power points on the same side come back. So it's an early power fade, but again, considering the type of day, there's times when you can take early ones. So I think this one had some value as well. It's lining up with the top of that original open. It's a buyer's market. All the other markets are up and holding this area. It's definitely something that has some value within it. From there, we've pushed higher and made higher highs. This area here, as far as you can see, we've pushed through 3 power points and coming back here. This had potential to really hold, especially somewhere around here, as this sort of pullback here would act as a bit of a support, but it's managed to push through that level, and eventually the second power point's held. This is then this very sideways period that we got leading through lunch, another 5-minute signal, that void signal that came up round about here. But we're just looking at and weighing up what these markets are doing, and looking at the other markets and deciding where they want to head from here. And it's through here. This is the highs of the market, so you can see the markets come up. There's no power right here because basically the trend's a little bit extended, but as it touches that high and then comes back, even though it's only a very shallow pullback, usually it will come back a bit more than that, but as it comes back, then it's going to build some momentum to likely to push through, and that's what it did. And then to finish off the day, you can see that's that area where we came back, certainly holding the upside. You can see the way it's going through these power points, it's not blasting through these power points on the downside or anything like that. It's coming and trying to push up and then going down. So buyers looking like they're really holding their ground, just to pull back before they continue to push higher, which is what they did in this area here. So that's a wrap up for Monday, and we'll speak to you guys on Tuesday.